There were a lot of questions about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading into last offseason. What was going to happen at the head coach position, especially after Bruce Arians decided that he was going to step down. We found out that he already had his replacement in mind, and that was going to be defensive coordinator Todd Bowles was going to step up and take the helm. And then, obviously, you had the big saga surrounding Tom Brady and whether or not he was going to come back and fulfill on a goal he had stated in the past about he wanted to play until age 45. And initially, Tom Brady had retired, and that lasted all of, a few weeks before he decided, nah, you know what, I want to run it back one more time. I want to play in the NFL at the age of 45. So that's exactly what happened. The Bucs decided to run it back one more time, although it should have been a bit telling when Bruce Arians decided he wanted to step away from the day-to-day responsibilities of being a head coach. You could talk about age and health concerns and everything like that, but there was a reason he didn't want to do it anymore. And that should have been a bit of a foreshadowing, a bit of a sign of what could come for the Buccaneers in 2022. Now, it didn't start off terrible by any stretch of the imagination. They actually started off the season 2-0. They got victories over the Cowboys and the Saints. But, compared to what the Buccaneers had been in 2020 or even 2021, you certainly got the sense and the vibe that something was different, something was missing, something was off with this team all throughout 2022. And one of the ways that manifests is if you look a little deeper at the numbers on the offensive side of the ball. Sure, Tom Brady threw for almost 4,700 yards. So you're saying, hey, this guy's 45 years old, and he damn near throws for 5,000 yards. That's some special stuff, and then on some token, it certainly is. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who came back from the knee injury, they both went over 1,000 yards receiving. But this was also the worst rushing team in the league, and they were 25th in points scored. So for them to get all those yards through the air, even if you want to talk about worst rushing team in the league, it shouldn't matter. If you are effective at throwing the football and getting that many yards, you would assume that a team would be better scoring the ball than what they were, but the Buccaneers had troubles all year in the red zone, and that plays out in the fact that they were 25th in the league in points scored. That's not good at all. And the defense certainly, to me, wasn't the same. Their leading sacker was their 350-pound defensive lineman, Vita Vea. That's not necessarily good. They only got a half season out of Shaq Barrett. Obviously, JPP was gone. The season did not go according to plan for the Buccaneers. And while you could sit there and say, hey, they still ultimately won the NFC South and they still got a home playoff game, so what? They had a losing record. They always felt underwhelming. At no point in time did you have confidence. Even if you were saying, hey, get Brady into the playoffs, this is going to have one of those Cinderella stories to it or last chance. No. There never really was a chance, honestly. This team was not that good. It certainly looked like they took a step back defensively. They took a step back offensively. It felt like they also took a step back from a coaching standpoint. And it led to the result that they had, a losing record even though they won the division. And then they sit there and they go and lose in the wild card round. And now the season is over, and Tom Brady apparently has indeed decided that he's going to hang it up. And so far, it feels like this may indeed be for good. But we shall see, but it certainly feels like that's the case. And it feels like we're entering a major transition period for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, you look at the whole way this Tom Brady situation played out. He gave this team 3 years where maybe you were hoping for 1 to 2. And in that time, the Buccaneers won a Super Bowl, made the playoffs 3 times, won playoff games. And I don't mean to be a creature of the moment or, use some unnecessary hyperbole here, but realistically, the Buccaneers should retire Tom Brady's 12. They should retire his jersey someday. That may sound crazy to you. I don't think it is. If I look at players on that championship Bucs team of a couple of seasons ago that they should retire their numbers, I think it's Tom Brady on the offense, maybe Mike Evans as well, and then it's Levante David on the defensive side of the ball. And it's unfortunate for a guy like Levante David, too, because he's been so good for so long and just so criminally underrated. He doesn't get the all-star accolades, which is going to kill him someday when you talk about the Hall of Fame. But when you talk about guys whose play, the film, defends and supports that this is a Hall of Fame level player, Levante David certainly is one of those. But now you're talking about a team that's going into this offseason. There's no Tom Brady, which feels awkward in and of itself because for the first time since the early 2000s, you're looking at going into an NFL season without Tom Brady being a starting quarterback somewhere in the National Football League. But the Bucs, it's not just the fact that they're without Tom Brady anymore. It's the fact that as we stand right now, they are over $50 million above the salary cap. So there's a lot of moves and restructures that have got to happen just for them to get under. And it's not like it's just, hey, if they cut one or two players, that would get rid of a ton of cap, that would clear up a ton of cap space. It's not even that. It's a lot of nickel and dime stuff, a lot of restructurings and so forth. So they've got a lot of work to do. They, meanwhile, have to sit there and potentially roll into 2023 with Kyle Trask as their starting quarterback. Do you really feel confident in Kyle Trask's ability to be the guy? Do you really feel confident in his ability to get the job done? I'm not trying to disrespect the guy. I'm just saying that, this is a guy that hasn't played the past couple of seasons. He was a low second-round pick. Yikes. And this is one of the downsides, when you talk about being an organization that makes a conscientious decision to go all in. And the Buccaneers did. When you bring in a Tom Brady, you don't half-ass it like Belichick did at the end of the run with the Patriots. You go and bring in a Rob Gronkowski. You go and bring in an Antonio Brown, and however that played out. You go and worry about the now, and you kick the can down the road, and you deal with those consequences later. And now those chickens are coming home to roost for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I think if you ask Bucs fans, and you ask fans of other teams, if they had the opportunity to do what the Bucs did the past 3 years, would they want to do it? Abso-fucking-lutely. If you told me the Bears could have done this and in 3 years made the playoffs 3 times and won a Super Bowl, would I have done this and say, hey, potentially things will look ugly, the 5 years after that stretch? Abso-fucking-lutely. I would do that 100 out of 100 times. I think if you wouldn't, you're fucking psycho and disconnected from reality. But it could get really ugly with Tampa Bay. For as bad as Todd Bowles was, I felt, as a head coach in 2022, he's got a chance to show his wares, to show his skills as a coach in 2023, because obviously there's going to be some changes on this roster. It's going to be a new-look team. Now, thankfully for them, perhaps, is the rest of that division sucks too. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Buccaneers could be a 7-8 win team next year and potentially, banging it out trying to win this crappy NFC South. I doubt it, though. But crazier things have happened. But Bucs fans should take stock. They had 3 pretty good years, and maybe it ended with a little bit of a whimper here in 2022. But all in all, not bad. You got a Super Bowl title out of it. Got to be really happy about it, and whatever comes in the next few years, you just kind of have to learn to deal with, I guess.